Okay, so imagine you start a new job, okay, and you meet your coworkers and you instantly hit it off with one. And like every coworker friendship starts freaking fake as hell. You guys start telling each other how amazing and perfect your guys' life is, how amazing your relationships are, and then slowly you start to let each other know how it really is not and how fucking miserable you guys are. So exactly what happens. This girl starts to tell you how she's engaged, how her fiance is amazing, how she's so in love and she's so excited to get to marry him, blah, blah. And then slowly she starts to tell you, actually, I don't really like him. Like physically, he's not really my type. Like I'm really not attracted to him. He's a really nice guy. Like I've been with him for 3 years. My family loves him. His family loves me. I'm way out of his league. He treats me like a fucking queen. But like, I just haven't let everything out of my system. So you tell her like, you probably shouldn't be getting married then. And she's like, no, like I would be an idiot to let this man go. Like you don't understand. Like he's perfect. But I just feel like I need to have fun. So you basically tell her like, what are you gonna do? And she's like, well, I'm just gonna have fun until I get married. Once I get married, like I'm just gonna stop everything I'm doing. So she basically starts telling you how she's been cheating on him, how she's on Tinder, how she has hooked up with exes, how she started, hooking up with coworkers. And you're new, so you don't really know nobody. You're just hearing everything from her, right? And you're like, what the fuck? Like this bitch is crazy. But she's not your friend. You don't know her outside of work. You don't hang out with her outside of work. You don't know him. You don't know his family. You don't know her family. You don't know nobody's shit. You don't care. You're just listening to her. So then one day she tells you, I need to tell you something really bad. And you're like, what the fuck? This bitch probably pregnant from someone. I don't know. And she's like, I've been sleeping with my fiance's best friend. And you're like, okay, like, don't you think that's a little bit extreme? And she's like, this is like his best friend since they were young. Like we hang out with his wife. Like he's married. He has kids. And we go on like trips together. But we've always liked each other. Like he's literally my type physically. And we finally got the courage to tell each other, and we have this deal that we're gonna be messing with each other until I get married. So you're looking at this bitch like, this bitch is fucked up. Like it's not even like, no, cheating is okay, but this girl took it to like a different extreme, right? So you start to feel some type of way about her now, because you're like, you're not really a good person. Okay, so on a Wednesday there's like a company picnic, and she decides to bring her fiance, which you're thinking like, dang, this bitch is bold, because she pretty much messed with half of this fucking company. Anyways, she brings them, and the first person that he introduces him to is you. So you're like, what the fuck, right? Like, well, I don't want to fucking know him. Like, I don't want to look at this man in his face and know everything you're doing to him. So you meet him, and he's a really good guy. Like, and he starts telling you like, oh my God, I've heard so much about you. Like, ever since you and my girl have been friends, she's been so different. Like, thank you for taking her out. She doesn't really have friends, and like when you guys hang out, she like really changes, and I notice her more happy. And you're like, what the fuck? Like I don't even hang out with this bitch outside of work. Like I've never hanged out with her outside of work. But you're like, like you just kind of go along with it, because what the fuck are you gonna do, right? So then after this, you go home and you're confused, but you don't really care. You're just like, whatever. You go home, and as you're driving home, you get a notification from Instagram that he sent you a friend request. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, he didn't give you creep vibes, so you're like confused, right? So then you message your coworker, and you're like, hey, like, your man just sent me a friend request. And she's like, I'm with them in the car. He asked me if he could send you a friend request, because sometimes he has questions, and I don't have no sisters, I don't have no friends, so he doesn't have no one to ask. So you go home, right? And then you start talking to your partner about it. Like, you start letting him know all the fucking drama. And he starts to get mad at you, because he's like, what the fuck are you doing even talking to this crazy girl, right? And you're like, I don't know, she's my coworker. Like, I didn't know she was that fucking crazy. And now the fiance sent me a message and sent me a friend request, and now I'm scared. And then as this is going on, he sends you a fucking DM. And he just says, hey, can I ask you something? You see the preview, you don't open it. You're just like, fuck this. I'm going to wait till I get to work tomorrow and see what's going on. So the next day is Thursday, and you go to work, and you tell your coworker like, hey, your man sent me a message, and he said like, I needed to ask you something. And what the fuck? And she's like, oh, he's probably gonna ask you something about the wedding or something that I like, do you want to be part of our wedding? He's been telling me to ask you, because again, I don't have anybody. And you're like, girl, I'm pregnant, because in that time you're pregnant. And you're like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to, like, you pretty much don't want to be involved. So this is on a Thursday, and Friday you're leaving for maternity leave. That's your last day. So you're like, whatever, I'm not gonna deal with this no more. So then later on that night, he sends you another message, and you open it, and he's like, can you please reply? I need to ask you a question. So you're like, okay, hey, what's up? And he says, okay, he asks you, is it with him? And you instantly know what the fuck he's referring to. You're like, oh, he knows. Like, he knows and he's asking you to confirm it. And you tell your partner, and your partner's like, you gotta fucking tell him, because that's fucked up. You gotta tell him. And I'm like, how am I gonna tell him? Like, I can't tell him. Like, it's none of my business. And he's like, no, you need to tell him. Like, now it's your business and it's fucked up. So you tell him without telling him, in the most, like, not telling way. And you basically just say, if you think that, then it probably is. And he replies to you, thank you. Friday comes, and now you're kind of scared because you're like, this bitch never texted you, never told you nothing, so you're thinking nothing happened. And then the next day comes, and she's fine. She's like, whatever, right? And you're like, should you tell her that he messaged you or not? And something tells you not to tell her shit, because, like, she doesn't tell you nothing. She doesn't tell you when she's fucking lying on your name, so you're like, you're not gonna say her nothing, right? So while you're at work, you notice that she goes to the restroom. She takes a long time. She comes back. Like, her eyes look like she was like crying really bad, right? And she's like, oh my god, he knows that I'm with his best friend. Like, he just sent us a message, he sent us screenshots, he knows that we're together, he called off the wedding. Like, what the fuck do I do? And you're just like acting shocked, right? Like, oh fuck, like, that's fucked up, what happened, you know? And you tell her, like, bitch, I told you to be careful because he was gonna find out. And she's like, I was careful. Like, I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know how he found out. Blah, 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 blah. So then the whole shit gets canceled. She's a hot mess. And it's your last day. So you don't ever see this girl again, because you never come back to this job. After maternity leave, you decide to look for another job. And that's it. But what do you guys have done if that was you? Have you been that person? And tell me, why the fuck are all coworker relationships like that? I feel like a lot of people trust their coworkers with, like, their deepest, darkest secrets, and they think that, like, it's never gonna come out, or like, oh, this bitch doesn't know no one, so she's not, like, a problem. You guys need to be careful, because coworkers are fucking crazy. Like, they could be crazy. And yeah, you guys just need to not be telling people your business, because shit like this could happen.
You ever shit your pants as an adult? I haven't. Have you ever cleaned up adult shit and not been paid for it? I have. This is the story of my shitty coworker. I've been waiting to tell this story for so long, but I couldn't because I worked with her. But luckily for me, she recently quit, so I'm gonna air it out. So a little backstory. As soon as she started working, there was so many, like, red flags. This girl was just a pathological liar. Like, she told me that her brother was in Blink-182. I don't think that she knew that I knew that band. Also would lie about her age. Like, when I first met her, she told me that she was 28. And then her birthday came up, so I said, oh, like, happy 29th birthday. So offended. It was like, I'm not turning 29. I just turned 27. I was like, oh, okay, like, maybe I misremembered. And then months later, she was like, oh, I keep forgetting that we're not that far apart in age. And I was like, oh yeah, like, we're only like 5 years apart from each other. And she was like, what? I'm 25. And later on, I find her on Facebook, and she had posted a profile picture in 2008 saying senior prom. You start to calculate it a little bit, that puts her at about 33 years old. Which, like, whatever, some women lie about their age, but, like, you can't gaslight me about it 3 separate times. And she was always the victim in all of her stories. Like, she never did anything wrong. I have not liked people I work with since I've been working, but I never let them know. It wasn't being fake, but I was being nice, because it's better than having drama. One night, we were working together, and we ended up closing pretty early, and she was like, oh, I haven't seen, like, your new apartment yet, like, can I come over? It's been a decent day, and sure, like, you can come over for a little bit, we can have a drink. And after hanging out for about an hour, she was like, okay, I should get going soon, like, before I leave, can I use your bathroom? And I was like, of course, girl. Like, of course you can use my bathroom. Sorry, I might have to do a part 2, guys.
Snacks in hand, the vibe is set, and once I start, you won't forget. Don't eat too much, because you gotta stay fine. But come on, besties. It's story time! Damn, that sounded bad, but y'all know I'm still trying to get my voice back. Hey, bestie, I missed you. You got your cola? You got your snack? Okay, great. This story is from South Africa, so go ahead and go roll that. Yeah, I know y'all be rolling. Y'all don't just be eating. Don't forget to show me what you're eating in the comments, because I be wanting to come to y'all house and get a plate. Real quick, before I start the story, December 20th, I'm having a spa party in South Orange, New Jersey. So all my Jersey followers, come through. We're gonna have food, drinks, music, all that good stuff. And you get to hang out with Blizzy. We're gonna have us a great time. Anyway, on to the story. For the sake of the story, let's call this girl Ella. Ella knows why I did that. So Ella's mom is a primary school teacher. And she's like super creative. She's one of those teachers that you love at school because they have all these fun ideas. Like to the point where the principal personally goes to her whenever he's having an event and he needs ideas and he needs somebody to plan it properly. So she was pretty popular amongst the students, the teachers. The students loved her. Anyway, one afternoon, Ella's mom comes home from work, from the school. And she started complaining that her hip was hurting, which is normal because, she's of older age. So usually whenever she complains about her hip hurting, Ella would just give her a massage and it'll be fine. Anyway, so that's what she did. She gave her mom a massage like usual, except this time, this pain is lasting for days. And then it got to a point where it was affecting the way that she walked. Like she was limping. So Ella's mom decided, hey, I'm going to take a day off because this pain is not going away and I need to figure out what I'm going to do. So she takes a day off to kind of just rest, But throughout the day, it seems like the pain was getting worse. It just wasn't going away. So Ella and her sister, their neighbor is actually a nurse. So they went next door and told the nurse what's happening. She came over and she gave Ella's mom some pain injections, but that still didn't work. And so their other neighbor ended up coming over to massage her again, but this time with a hot beanbag. But that still didn't work. And it was to the point where it got so bad where her mom ended up having to go to the hospital because nothing is working. Anyway, so at this point, Ella's mom is, in the hospital for a couple of days. And a day or two after, she's been in the hospital, Ella decided to sleep in her mom's bed because she misses her mommy. However, in her mom's room, she also had this storage room, right? And that storage room always creeped out Ella because the door wouldn't close because of how full the storage room is. It has mad stuff, so the door doesn't close. Anyway, so she's laying down in her mom's bed, she's facing the door, and she's scrolling on TikTok. And as she's laying there scrolling on TikTok, she hears a bull, like the animal, next to her ear. The sound that bulls make right before they're about to charge at somebody? It was that. So immediately, she's freaked out. So she jumped up and looked behind her, but nothing was behind her but that storage room. So that was very weird, right? Cool. So another day went by. Mom is still at the hospital. Mind you, at the time, Ella was in primary school. Anyway, so another day goes by and she's sitting in the living room thinking about everything. And she started to come to the conclusion that I think my mom is going through witchcraft. I think somebody is doing something to my mom because of that happened the day before when she was in her mom's bed. She's like, nah, I'm not stupid, bro. This gotta be witchcraft because nothing is working. I massaged her. The neighbor gave her pain injection. The other neighbor gave her a massage. She's at the hospital. Nothing is working. But she also ended up gaslighting herself. Damn, I might be overthinking it. Maybe it is medical. Maybe it's just a little complicated. But it's Anyway, so I guess Ella wasn't the only one that was thinking that. Ella's mom had to have been thinking the same thing too because her mom ended up hitting up her best friend's daughter who is a sangoma. That means a witch doctor, but she's one of the good ones. Just to, dot her I's and cross all her T's because medically nothing is working. So it gotta be, So they set up a date and the daughter comes over to do what she needs to do.
Get ready with me while I talk about the time I had an actually psychotic coworker that went off the rails. And as usual, I want you guys to be getting ready with me. So bookmark this video if you have to. You don't have to just get ready. You can take a shit, you can garden, you can do the dishes, you can do your laundry, you can do your skincare, whatever you want to do. As usual, we're on FaceTime. So this happened when I was working at a daycare, probably 4 years ago at this point. But the daycare that I worked at was also kind of a preschool as well. And at the time, I was a co-teacher for the preschool. And we were super understaffed. We literally had no staff ever. So we were kind of just hiring anybody. I say we, I had any part in the hiring process, but yeah, we were super understaffed to the point where this was during COVID and we couldn't even call out if we had COVID. You were expected to come in with a mask and that was super illegal at that point. So just for context, the way that the school was set up is there were classrooms and there were usually 2 teachers in each classroom. and then there were floaters, and the floaters would like change classrooms every day. So there would usually be at least one teacher that was assigned to one specific classroom, and then the floaters would end up being the second teacher. And at this point in time, I'm pretty sure I was a teacher in one of the preschool classrooms, but because we were running low on floaters, we were kind of fighting for our lives a bit, because we like needed second teachers, because with the state guidelines, at least where I live, like with a certain amount of kids, you need a certain amount of adults in the room. I guess that's the best way I can explain it. And guys, when I tell you, like, we were just hiring anybody. Like, we were that understaffed, like I said. And one day there was like a group of probably like 3 or 4 new people that came in. And obviously, like, I was super excited because I was like, oh, maybe I can get time off now. I mean, that didn't end up happening, but whatever. But it was just good because at the end of the day, we needed runners, which runners were basically just people that would, I guess, for lack of a better term, run the kids from the classrooms to their parents that were at the front of the school. But because we had these new people, it was like a huge weight off of my shoulders and everybody else's. We could all like breathe for a little bit, but obviously there was going to be an adjustment period of people training or whatever. For the sake of the story, I'm going to call my boss Laura, and I'm going to call the new girl, what should I call her? I'm going to call her Savannah. And the new girl Savannah started, and I think she started with us on like a staff meeting day. So like we didn't really get to see how she worked until like I think the next week. But for the first week she was there, she was completely normal. Like, we followed each other on Instagram. Like, she was really social. That's like one of the things I remember about her. But for the most part, like, she kind of just came in and like did her job, and like nobody had any complaints about her. But I don't know, I think a few days go by and she starts to show up to work, and like the best way I can describe it is like the bitch seemed tired as fuck. Like, she did not seem like she was all there. And I don't know, I mean, no one really questioned it because she was still like doing her job. I mean, not as well as she did when she had first started the first few days, but I mean, shit was still getting done. And obviously, like, she still needed help doing stuff because she was new, but I don't know. Everybody was like kind of like, do you think that Savannah seems like weird today? Like, it was kind of like a topic of conversation because like it seemed like she didn't want to be there, which, okay, like I don't think anybody did, but like also like that she was like legit about to fall asleep like the entire day. So then the next day comes and it's the same thing, but just like she seemed even more tired today and like more out of it. And like people at this point started to ask her like, girl, are you good? Like, do you feel okay? And she just kept being like, no, I'm fine. And like she would have like bursts of energy where she would act completely normal, but then like, I don't know, like 10-15 minutes later she would go back to acting like she was gonna pass out. And obviously, like, this is not good when you're in charge of taking care of children. You kind of have to be on your toes for that, especially like infants and stuff. So they kind of just started putting her like in the older kids' rooms. But even then, like, those kids get into fucking mischief. So also, I don't know if you guys can hear, but Kiwi's taking a nasty earth-shattering shit over there in her litter box. So sorry about that. So then the next day, she comes in and she is like the worst we've seen her yet. And they had her in one of the toddler classrooms, I think. I don't remember exactly which one, but it was one of the classrooms. And like, it was almost like she was going out of her way to like deliberately do everything wrong. Like the teacher would be like, oh, can you like get the coats on the kids? And she would like go start cleaning shit in the bathroom. Or like the teacher would be like, oh, can you pass out the snack? And she would like, I don't know, like walk into the office or like just do something she's not supposed to be doing. So now at this point, like, it's now become a topic of conversation because they're like worried about her, but also they're like, what the fuck? Like, you know, like it was just good. It was getting weird. It was getting really weird. Then the director, from what I understand, came into the classroom because I wasn't in this classroom at this point. I had like my own classroom, and the director came into the classroom and like asked her if she was good, and she was like, yeah, I'm fine, and like acted like everything was normal. But anyways, then they have nap time because obviously the kids are young, they need their naps, and the bitch falls asleep, which you cannot be doing during nap time. Like, you are directly, I mean, I feel like I don't need to explain that. Like, you're directly responsible for keeping the kids safe. You can't be fucking falling asleep. So I think the consensus at this point was that, like, maybe she was sick and, like, needed to go home or whatever. Once again, they asked her if she was sick. She was like, no, I'm fine. And they're like, okay, whatever. The rest of the day goes by, and it's now time to run the kids from their classrooms to the parents. So at this point, she kind of knows, like, some of the kids, but I mean, I don't blame her for not knowing most of them. So we were still like helping her and telling her where the kids were. And I was also running at this point, but then they had me go watch one of the classrooms outside. So I missed a lot of this. A lot of this was just told to me, but from what I understand at this period of time, every time they would tell her like, to go get a kid, they would, like, obviously tell her, like, the name of the kid and what classroom they were in. And every single time, she would come out with either the wrong kid or she wouldn't come out with any kid at all. So everyone is like, okay, now it's getting really weird. And it was just like, nobody knew what the fuck was going on. So like I said, I'm outside with some of the kids on the playground, and Savannah comes barreling out to the playground and just like throws herself out on the grass. And she's like, our boss, Laura, is such a bitch. And I'm like, all right, not too much, because I like Laura. So I was like, what's the problem? And she's just like, she keeps telling me to do shit, and like I keep doing what she wants, but like she keeps saying I'm doing it wrong, even though I'm doing exactly what she wants. And she's like slurring her words. So now I'm like, this girl seems like she's fucked up. Like, now, like, the puzzle pieces are starting to, like, click in my head, because I'm like, oh my god, this girl has to be fucked up. I don't know what she was on, but, me thinks it might have been, like, a perks of being a wallflower situation. I can't say the actual word on TikTok, I think, because I'd like to keep my account, but you guys can figure that out. But she lays down on the grass, like I said, and after she complains to me, she just fucking falls asleep. She really knocks out. She's, like, legit, like, nodding out on the fucking turf. So now I'm weirded the fuck out. I'm like, okay, that's strange, but that is not my fucking problem. I don't get paid enough to deal with that. So I am getting one of the kids ready, and my boss comes into the classroom, and she's like, where the fuck are, well, she didn't swear, but she was like, where the fuck are, like, these twins? And I was like, I don't know. I thought they left, like they were supposed to leave, like, 20 minutes ago, right? She's like, yeah, like, Savannah was supposed to bring them out. And I was like, oh, well, I don't know. Apparently they were in the classroom the whole time. So at this point, she's like, do you know where Savannah is? I'm like, yeah, she's asleep outside on the turf. I could tell my boss, like, actually saw red. Like, so she comes out. She basically tells her to get the fuck up, and she has her, like, go and sit on the bench outside the office. And then I go home for the day. I don't think anything of it, because, guys, I wanted to get the fuck out of there. But then, like, that night, I get a fucking DM from Savannah. She's like, I was unjustly fired, and I need all of you guys to go on strike. Like, this is ridiculous. I can't believe that I was fired for no reason, blah, 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 blah. And I'm, like, looking around like, what do you mean you were fired for no reason? Girl, you fell asleep outside and called our boss a bitch. Like, what? Like, so then I ignore that until I check our, like, company, like, WhatsApp group chat. This girl is blowing up the fucking group chat with, like, scenes from horror movies of, like, graphic, like, unalivings, like, literally threatening. She's like, this is what I'm gonna do to you guys. I'm fucking Jason Voorhees. You don't know who you mess with, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm really fucking scared because I didn't answer her DM. I'm, like, watching my back. Like, what the fuck? She's texting. She's like, I know where all of you live in the directory, blah, 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 blah. Like, she's sending all these crazy threats to the group chat. So the owner just, like, removed her. And then we had, like, a staff meeting the next day. And, like, no one acknowledged it. It was so weird. Everyone just acted like it didn't happen. And yeah, streets are saying she tried to show up to the school and they, like, called the cops on her, but I don't know if that actually happened. That might have just been a rumor. But yeah, moral of the story, don't get cracked out at your daycare job and threaten everybody. Like, just don't do that. Luckily, I've never had a coworker situation like that since, but yeah, as always, I will see you guys tomorrow. And I'm going to see Blade tomorrow, guys. I'm so excited. I can't wait. But yeah, I'm going to try and post as much as I can because I'm going on a little trip, but thank you guys so much.
Alright, so this is a story on why you should not make friends at work. So when I was 19, I was working at a restaurant, right? And, like, it was a couple of girls working there, and I made friends with this girl. She was 26, which it was a weird age gap because I felt like I was more mature at 19 than she was at 26. But anyways, we was working at the restaurant. I used to come in late sometimes. She would come in late. A couple of girls would come in late. So our manager eventually said, like, oh, if y'all keep coming in late, we're going to write y'all down and eventually you'll get fired. So I took it serious because I was like, all right, you know, I don't want to lose my job right now. So I started, like, taking time out, like, aside to get breakfast or get lunch and, you know, lounge before I enter work because, you know, you can't eat on the floor. And, you know, I just wanted to take that time out for myself. So she said she was going to do the same thing because, you know, it's the smart thing to do. So this is, like, the first thing that happened that made me think, like, can I really be friends with this girl? Like, it was really a red flag. So I was on my way to work and I stopped by the pizza shop like up the block to get pizza and to, sit down before going to work. And she called me and she's like, "Oh, Aisha, where are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm at the pizza shop, like I'm by the restaurant." And she's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna lie, like I'm not in the mood right now. Like I don't even want to be here. My energy's down." She said something like, "Oh, could you do me a favor, like a huge favor?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what? What's up?" And she's like, "Oh, do you mind getting me Starbucks?" And like the time that it was like, I think like around 3 o'clock, and like the area is just like so packed with people. It's the meat packing district, so if you know, it gets super packed by tourists. So I was already like, I don't want to do this, but we just started becoming friends, so let me just do this favor. So I go to Starbucks and it's packed like what I imagine, and I'm already on time, so I'm about to be late. And I called her, I'm like, "Hey, what do you want?" And she says she wants a pineapple refresher. And madam, like, "Girl, what you mean? Like, you so tired? Like, then get coffee." But whatever. So I got her the pineapple refresher, went to work. I was late at work. People already looking like, "Oh, you late?" Like, because you shouldn't be late. And then it's awkward. Like, the walkthrough was already like, everyone has to see you walk through. So I give her the refresher. And then she takes one sip and she's like, "I'm not gonna lie, like I don't even want this. It's not my type, like, or it's not like the type of flavor I want. I didn't know it was gonna taste like this." And then she puts it down and she's like, "Do you want it?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want it." And then she says, "Okay, so I'm just gonna throw it in the garbage because it doesn't make any sense." So she throws it in the garbage, which I low-key felt like that was disrespectful. But I'm like, whatever. So she throws it in the garbage, and I told her, I'm like, "Bro, you made me wait in line to get this coffee. I came to work late, and you didn't even want it." She's like, "I'm sorry." And then, like, she laughed, and I'm like, "All right, whatever. It's not big of a deal." You know. So then, like, the next week, we was on the schedule for the same day. And she calls me right before my shift starts, and she's like, "Oh, Aisha, where are you?" And I was like, "I'm about to walk to the building." Like, I was literally walking to the building, and she's at work. That's what's blowing me. So she's like, "Oh, do you mind getting me?" And then she says like some food. She's like, "Do you mind getting me?" And I'm like, "No, like I'm not about to turn around in my tracks to get you food because you didn't like take the time off to get yourself food." I was like, "Honestly, Jasmine," yeah, I'll say her name. I'm like, "Honestly, Jasmine, like not right now because like I'm about to be late." And she was like, "Really? Like really you can't get me out of that?" And I was like, "Honestly, no." Cause it's like that's so selfish. How you asking me to get you food? You could have got yourself food before you clocked in. So I go to work and then I say hi to the girls and whatever. And then when it's time for me to say hi to her, she like turns around and then she rolls her eyes. She literally goes like this. And then she like keeps going on about her day. Like she like ignores me the whole day. And literally I'm thinking, all right, so we're not friends anymore. Like, it is what it is. This girl, at the end of the night, she's gonna be like, I don't like when we argue, or I don't like when we fight. Why are we fighting? I'm like, "Girl, like, what are you talking about?" Oh my God, I couldn't even do anything but laugh. But at the time, I was like, "Come on, like, that's not funny. Like, you literally didn't talk to me all day because you're tight that I didn't give you food." And she was like, "No, I thought you was mad. That's why." And I was like, "All right." But no, this girl is literally crazy. And then for that situation, she did call me selfish one day for that. But whatever. We had like a rocky relationship, whatever. And then eventually I had to cut this girl off because she was moving crazy. But that's my story on why I do not trust coworkers. That already scarred me like when I was 19, and like I'm already scarred for the rest of my life now. Do not trust coworkers. Keep your personal life and then your private life totally separate. You do not have to make friends at work. You can, but don't go out of your way to do it. Yeah.
Okay, so
I low-key conducted an experiment on my male coworkers, and I kind of want to share how it went. At work, I had a coworker ask me, a male coworker asked me, because we were discussing like relationships between like men and women, and he was like, well, who do you think benefits more from a relationship, a man or a woman? And I like, my knee-jerk reaction was like immediate anger, because from my perspective, the man obviously benefits more, right? So I was like, the fact that you even had to ask me that makes me not want to even respond to that question, right? And then days later, when I thought about it, I was like, you know what? No, obviously, as a woman, I'm going to say that the man benefits. And as a man, he's going to say that the woman benefits, right? It's not even like, oh, I know I'm right. Like, I have my own truth. Like, in my opinion, men benefit more from their relationships with women. But I was just like, what if I yielded the floor a little bit? Like, what if I didn't argue? What if I asked him directly, well, what do you think? Obviously, that women benefit more. And like, why do you think that? And little did I know that giving him the floor to talk about why he feels that women benefit more from relationships with men. And again, me being completely, diplomatic, I didn't really, anytime he asked me questions in terms of what I thought, I always redirected the conversation back to him. I always yielded the floor back to him, his thoughts, his feelings. Because baby, I'm the mad scientist. You're the subject. I'm here to collect data. That's exactly how I saw that conversation. And it was really fascinating watching like my other male coworkers chime in and like give their 2 cents on things. Where the conversation took a very interesting turn was when the conversation of like pay and like pay gap came in. And it was like really fascinating to me how many of my male coworkers were saying that the gender pay gap isn't real. And I like literally, that's when I kind of like broke character a little bit, like broke my like mad scientist character a little bit. And I was like, oh, are you red pill? Like, what do you mean the gender pay gap isn't real? But then again, I was like, oh, wait, shoot. Like, no, I'm not trying to, I'm like, technically in my mind, I'm a moderator. Like, I'm not really here to have an opinion. I'm a blank slate. And these men I'm like in the wild with these creatures and I'm letting them talk because I want to hear, like, I just like, if I yield the floor, if I'm not arguing, if I create that space, what are they going to say? Like, what are they going to reveal to me? Like, I really wanted to know. And so it's, mind you, this conversation started with one male coworker. By the time the conversation like finished, 5 of them, it was 5 men speaking. Okay. And it was I mentioned the gender pay gap thing specifically because 2 of my male coworkers were arguing, actually more like 3 were arguing that the gender pay gap does not exist. And they had various things, like, various amounts of like misinformation, like talking about how women don't really want to work and how like, when I, again, breaking character, was like, y'all were the ones who created this system, that's when they're like, no, we didn't create the system that saying that, women couldn't work. Women didn't work because women didn't want to work. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Who was I to argue? Who was I to argue? Again, mad scientist. I was okay. The gender pay gap doesn't exist. Okay. Women didn't have access to work because they didn't want to work. Okay. And it was so interesting, like, watching these, like, 2 male coworkers go back and forth and be like, yeah, like, I feel this way and I think this way and this is what I think and this is the study that I read and this is the research that I've done. Never mind the fact, and it's funny because partway through the conversation, I was like, oh, like, like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, if you are a man who does not believe in the gender pay gap and you go on the internet to do research around the subject of not believing in the gender pay gap, like, you're only going to find like information that's going to confirm like what you believe. And whether you want to be honest with yourself or not, it's going to be red pill content. Like, I'm sorry. And it just kind of like cracks me up because I was like, oh, like, that's red pill. And they're like, no, that's not red pill. No, like, these are facts. And then again, I was like, oh shit, okay, man, I'm the mad scientist. I'm the observer. I'm not really supposed to be like interjecting, Anywho, so interesting. I had like another male coworker like jump in, and he was just like, no, actually, I believe in the gender pay gap. I do believe like women are discriminated against in the workplace. And I was like, oh, I was not expecting that. And then, he started talking about his personal experiences and what he witnessed his female coworkers going through, just in terms of like even just experiencing sexual harassment in the workplace and like being denied like promotions as a result of what they were or were not willing to do to male or with male superiors. And then I had another male coworker chime in and say, hey, like, I believe the gender pay gap is real. And he was talking again within the context of promotions and like who's allowed to be in positions of power. And he talked about his one female coworker that everyone spoke about. That was like very hardworking, been in the company for like 5-6 years, and she was moved from restaurant to restaurant, but was never once promoted. And it's so interesting how like the other male coworkers who had just, gone on this entire rant, brought out these facts and receipts, talking about how the gender pay gap wasn't real, were like really quiet and listened very intently to what these other men had to say. And so I'm sitting there listening, like just like watching these interactions like play out, because I don't know, I just think it's so fascinating. Like, could I sit there and be like, oh, like fuck men, like on two different levels, right? I really could be like fuck men on two different levels. On one level, it's the fact that like hearing me say that the gender pay gap was real wasn't enough for them, because as a woman, the assumption is implicit bias. They didn't actually really want to listen to the idea of, not even the idea, the concept behind what I was saying until another man was speaking about it. And, when we think about what we know about how men like work and operate within their own communities, it makes sense. Like again, I'm the mad scientist. I'm the observer, right? This all makes sense. And then two, on the other level, you have the two male coworkers that did believe in the gender pay gap, and their belief wasn't rooted in research. Do you know what I mean? Like for the men who did not believe in the gender pay gap, their belief system was rooted in research. Now, when you think about the algorithmic internet and men who don't believe in the gender pay gap, like what kind of research, do you know what I mean? Like what kind of research are they really actually doing? Versus the men who did believe in the gender pay gap, had not done any research, and their only reasoning was personal experience, personally witnessing female coworkers being dicked over in the workspace. Which again confirms the belief that men who don't actively witness women going through things don't have empathy for women. And then baked into that, I had one other male coworker who previously was like, the gender pay gap is not real, come back and say, okay, well, let me add some nuance to my argument. Did I agree with him? No. But was it interesting to hear the nuance that he added to his argument? Yes. Especially because that nuance was added because he listened to the other male coworker that did believe in the gender pay gap. Anyway, very fascinating, very fascinating. I will definitely be conducting this experiment again. I don't know. I think studying men in the wild is fascinating. I love being Crocodile Dundee, okay? I encourage other women to be Crocodile Dundee too.